Alrighty guys, we are back. Episode 3 of Questions with Kale or Mythbusters with Makem. I'm thinking about changing the name. Let me know in the comments. Should I keep it as Questions for Kale or do I change it to Mythbusters with Makem? Now, we typically come on here and answer questions, and I'm going to answer the questions. So we've got questions in here. It's beautiful questions, great questions, and thank you all very much. I'm going to get to one of those, but there's something bubbling under the surface I need to address. And I've been holding it back. But today we're letting it loose. We're letting it, I can't do it anymore. So I'm gonna do the rant, and I'm gonna answer the questions. But the rant is, motocross is a skill. It is a skill, right? What motocross isn't is a strength competition, is a marathon, is a technique contest. It is a race, and the race is won by the fastest rider. The fastest rider has the most skill. The skill is acquired through learned ability, repeating an action over and over and over again, i.e. riding the Emma effing bike, all right? God, I've been waiting to say this for so long. The sport has been kidnapped by PTs, right? They're a dime a dozen all over the gaff. And what they're doing is they're taking the audience, taking the crowd of motorcyclists and telling them that to improve, to get better, you need to do this gym program, you need to go on this exercising routine. Guys, there is a massive, massive difference between a motocross coach and a physical trainer. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying there's something wrong with physical trainers. They have a space and they have a place. If there was more physical trainers in the world would be a good place. Everybody should utilize them and they do a very good thing. But everybody should be in good general health no matter what. Whether you ride a motorbike, whether you play chess, whether you bake biscuits, whatever you're doing, you should be in good general health, right? The reason you improve on your motorcycle isn't because you get in shape and you follow some program, you do some routine. No. The reason you get better on the motorcycle is because you get better at the art of motorcycling, which is learned ability through skill. That is it, right? And technique aids the skill. Technique is a part of the process, is a part of the learning ability. I want to make this so pertinently obvious. In fact, we're using the whiteboard here. Skill. This is all we're going to write. This is the only lesson today. Skill. Motorcycling is a skill. Right, now let me explain. We're going to break down what motocross is on a first principles basis, right? We ride the motorcycle with the objective of winning the race or having fun. Now, to do both of those, we need a high level of speed, right? 99% of the time, the rider that wins a race is the quickest, and 99% of the time, the rider that doesn't get hurt is the one that doesn't ride over their head. So in either scenario, you either need to be quick or you need to be quick and back it down. The way you get quick is by acquiring skill through learned ability. The reason I won a race is because I had the desire for motorcycling. I loved it. And because I loved it, I put in the time on the bike, and the more time I put in on the bike, the higher my skills got. And the higher my skills got, the more speed I had, until eventually I was one of, if not the fastest rider in the race. And then you put it all together and you can win. That is the process. There's a lot of people that skip this process and they just go, I'll be fit and strong and maybe then I'll win. I'm sorry, unless you are the fastest rider in the race, it is highly unlikely you're not going to win, right? Now, I'm not saying don't be in good physical condition. In my opinion, that's just a part of life. You don't train in the gym or cycle to be good at motorcycling. No, you go to the gym and cycle to live a longer life and a healthier life and have all the benefits of good health, right? You should have a PT no matter what your entire life, or at the very least, you should be in good physical condition. That's just a part of life, especially if you've got goals as an athlete. But if you want to get good at motocross, you need to study and practice and learn the art of motorcycling. And what that is the developing and acquiring of skills. Now, as I mentioned before, you need to have the desire to do it over and over again. There are so many things going on when you're riding a motorcycle. There's a whole multitude of things, and I'm just going to pick just a slight little variable out here. Think about the sport of cycling. You're head down, you're hunched over, horrible posture, and you're just riding in a straight line on a bike, doing the same gross movement over and over and over and over and over again. Great for cardio fitness. But as far as the strain on the mind, there's not much going on. There's not much rhythm, there's not much timing, there's not much accuracy, there's not much depth perception. You can pretty much close your eyes and do it. It's not testing your mind and pushing the boundaries of your skills. Now let's think about a sport like darts, right? You think darts, what has that got to do with motocross? The accuracy needed when you throw a dart at a dartboard, the hand-eye coordination, the fine movements in your fingers and the gross movements in your arm, all of those have got to connect with your eyes and your motor neurons and have got to do the precise movement at the right time with the right rhythm, with the right accuracy, with the right power, all the things required on a motorbike, and you have to get very, very good at it. And the more you throw that dart, the better your body will get at those skills. The motor neurons will fire and they'll build pathways and you'll develop the skills. Now think of this. Let's go back to Daytona just a few days ago with Jet Lawrence. Jet basically won that race by tripling through that rhythm section lap after lap, lap after lap. Now Tomac put that down to Jet willing to take more risk, but I don't believe Jet being willing to take more risks. Jet has a higher level of skill. Because he has a higher level of skill, now let's go back to the darts. When he throws that bike through the rhythm section and he has to land it in a rut that wide, he is very confident. His skill level is so high that he knows his accuracy, learned ability through time, that he can nail and manage that with repetition, right? The timing of the throttle on the blip of the up ramp was perfect. The rhythm with his legs as he landed and compressed and went again. The accuracy with his eyes, the precision, all of these things, the fine motor neurons going on with the clutch, the throttle, the hands, all the things going on, that is a skill, all right? If I put Arnold Schwarzenegger on the bike, he's not gonna do that triple. If you put Lance Armstrong on that bike, he's not gonna do the triple. You could be fitter or stronger than Jet, you're not gonna do it. We can all try it, that's easy, it's not risk. It's the level of skill that enables him to do it over and over and over again without an issue. Which brings us back to skill again. Skill is acquired through repetition. The repetition that you need to be doing is the one that you need the most, right? So you need to figure out which skill you are deficient in. Is it balance? Is it rhythm? Is it timing? Is it accuracy? Is it any of these things? And then whichever one it is, you need to have specific drills and actions that will fix those deficiencies. And as you do that, your on-track performances will just improve. Just like the player throwing darts, the more you practice your skills, the better you will get on the track. And you can apply this to a whole host of areas on a motorcycle track. Think about a set of braking bumps. I don't give a shit how big, strong, tough, fit you are. If you're going in there all the way through, and someone like Jet with rhythm and timing and balance and coordination comes in and just goes, bap, jumps all 6 of them, angles his bike perfect, looks ahead, thinks about the next corner, boom, 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 gone, done. And here you are, taking them on like a UFC fighter, bouncing, bucking through like a bull rider. What good is fitness and fucking strength when you're doing that, right? Motocross is a skill. And it's funny, the more skill you have, the easier you can do things, right? This is a great question. It brings me back to when I rode with Chad Reed in 2012. I was trying my nuts off. I was trying so hard, right? I was riding with Chad. It was just me and him on his private supercross track, and I'm going for it, right? Throttle, brakes, effort, muscle, strength, fitness. I'm just giving it everything. Chad goes out. Bap, 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 bap. Didn't even look like he's trying. Yet he's like 5 seconds quicker than me, right? And I was the Australian Supercross champion at the time, and he was just starting up his team for 2-2 Motorsports, so he's, top 3 in the world. He was trying less than me. He was giving it like 10% effort compared to me, yet he was 5 seconds quicker. And it begs the question, how did the top riders go so much quicker, so much easier? It's not because they're stronger. It's not even because they're fitter. They've got great technique, but it's because of the skill, and we'll break it down again. What's a good skill? Let's say we're going around a corner, right? And you're right on that edge. You're right on the lean angle, it's perfect, everything's going good. You lift your eyes up, you look into the next area, and just out of nowhere, you didn't quite expect it, that bike just starts to slide a little bit. The amateur rider, the not skilled rider, will shut that throttle off completely, or they'll just keep it on and go more. The bike will react, it will do whatever it does, it won't be good. The skilled rider that has that perfect hand movement, right? He has the pathways built in, just like the dart player. He has the fine and gross movements within his hand and within his body. The very instant, that reaction time where you feel the bike move, you regulate the throttle for the slide. The bike's going out, the throttle's coming down, the bike's coming back, the throttle's coming back up. The more accurate you can be with that throttle timing, precision, the quicker you'll go. No one can see that. That is not a technique. That is not strength, that is not fitness, that is nothing. That is nothing but skill within the mind. You feel it and your body reacts accordingly. There's a lot of these examples. Maybe you're braking into a corner. There's so much going on when you brake. For example, You don't just jump on the brakes really, really hard, get off them and roll, and then get in the corner and put the throttle on. When you brake, you have 3 zones. You have the initiation zone, where you'll just creep on, you'll go like 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, cool, that's the pressure we're applying. Whoop, big braking bump. I'm gonna let off the brakes over the braking bump because I don't want the slowing down inertia of the back wheel. I don't want my bike to be pitching towards the front. So I'm gonna just ease off back to 20%, 30%, 10% over that bump. Cool, bike handles it nice and stable. Those forward moving inertia is gone. Now I'm back on the other side. Now I'm gonna brake with my rear. Right, I'm getting close to the corner. I'm gonna ease up a bit off the back brake, but I'm gonna maintain pressure on the front because I wanna keep my front loaded, right? There's heaps of grip here for like 3 meters. So I'm gonna pull it a little bit more. I'm gonna get a little bit more pulling power out of where there's grip, and then it's icy and slick. Right, now I'm gonna back off to 10%, 10% with the front. Cool, now I'm in the rut, and I've leant it over just a little bit too far on the way in. I'm leaning in, I'm probably gonna tuck the front. I'm gonna let go of the front brake completely now. Stand my bike back up, and I'm gonna bring on 10% of throttle. And I'm gonna maintain that there. Cool, now I'm on the right angle for the right speed. I'm thinking about the next turn. Let's go, off we go. Everything I just mentioned there is what a pro does constantly in every single corner. Just such fine little movements. They're feeling the bike, their eyes are seeing things, and they're reacting with their body. That is pure skill. Pure skill. That has nothing to do with your gym program. That has nothing to do with the laps on the cycle bike. It has nothing to do, even almost technique, because technique is another random within itself. Technique is great. Again, I'm not saying don't focus on technique. What I'm saying is technique looks very good, but if you come into that corner and you just stomp on your back brake and then lift it back off, well, what goods do you have in your hips out? None. What good are your elbows up? If you're dragging the back brakes, now your bike wants to stand up and you need to lean it in. What good is having the elbows to move? You have to have those skills. And it's kind of funny because skills aren't sexy. You can't see them. You know, it doesn't look cool in a photo. It doesn't look cool in a video. There's no Instagram coaches that can upload and show you a skill, like a physical version of a skill. They're just things that are happening within your mind. And they are kind of like what you would call short-term pain, long-term gain. So you'll practice the skills and you may not see yourself getting better. You might not be able to put up the cool Instagram clip. You might not be able to do any of these things. But over time, as your brain builds those pathways where you're getting better, just like the dart player gets better as he throws more darts, you'll get better on the bike, and all of a sudden you take this massive leap forwards with that skill level. So you jump above the average. And to me, this is like the art of motorcycling, in my opinion. It is that skill. And the best coach possible can watch a rider, see exactly where they're deficient in a skill, and give them an exercise to fix it. And then you repeat it again. Cool, now let's go ride another corner. Your throttle was about half a second late when you tried to jump that bump into the corner. You should have done it a little bit earlier, and you should have loaded your legs maybe 20% more. We're gonna go back on the whatever exercise drill, and we're gonna practice throttle timing and leg timing. And once we get really, really good at that, then we'll go back on the track and fix it. It's not, okay, you come up short when you tried to jump those 2 bumps, you must have had your elbows down. Technique will allow you to go quicker, absolutely and utterly. The better your technique is, the better rider you will be. But it is not the end all and be all. And you see this all the time. Here's another great example. I'm just thinking of these off the top of my head. This is all I think about. All the riders in the top 20 AMA Supercross have great technique. Every single one of them, right? If you compare any of them to an Australian champion, Victorian champion, club champion, regional champion, an AMA top 20 pro is incredible. They have perfect technique across the board, right? Yet there's a 5-second difference between first and 20th. They all have great technique, right? If any rider in Australia had the technique of any of those top 20 in America, they'd smoke it. So what then is the separator between those top 20? If they're all perfect, they're all fit, they've all got personal trainers, they all follow programs, they've all got facilities, right? They're all strong, they've all got great bikes. So what is separating that top 20? If their technique is good, if their bikes are good, if they're strong, if they're fit, what is the separator? It's skill. It's what their eyes are seeing and how their body is reacting. And their body will react better when they've improved their skills by working on the ones they're deficient on over time, right? That's just what it is. I find it funny, like people will jerk off over this guy's winning and that's what we must do. It's like, there's many ways to win. If we took the 10th rider from America and put him in Australia, he's going to win. Should we all do what he does to win in Australia? There's so many different ways to be a top tier rider. There is no one size fits all, but the only thing that you cannot do it without is skill. It's the only thing you can't replicate or replace. You have to have the skill. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think. I don't care what personal trainer degree you got. There is no level of strength that will make you win a race. There just isn't, right? You cannot not ride a bike for a year, go in the gym, lift weights, and think you're going to be any better on the bike. You're just not going to be. It just doesn't work that way. And same thing with fitness. Now, I'm not saying you as an individual couldn't be better. If one person decided to get fitter and decided to get stronger alongside with increasing their skill on the motorcycle, of course you're going to become a better rider, a more competent rider. But that's not going to be the reason you get better. It's going to be because you increase your skill. And these will complement the skill. All right, so this is so important. And yeah, I don't know, there's not many. It's kind of the Wild West coaching when you think about it. Like, I mean, the state governing bodies and MA, they have a protocol to get your coach's license, but you know, it's not like it's not an official thing. You know, it's sort of the basic stuff just to get rider's license and so on and so forth. And it does what it needs to do for the system that it is, and that's it. But when you really break it down, the art of motorcycling, all these fine motor skills, all these motor neurons, all the things going on, the rhythm, the timing, the accuracy, the precision, all these sorts of things, and ways to educate and learn those, and then implement them into a rider, and then do that over a long enough time period that they're going to be successful and not get burnt out from it. That's something else within itself, and that's really, really hard to understand unless you've done it yourself or seen somebody else do it that you're really close to. And that's just my opinion on it. So anyway, we'll get into a question. That was my rant. Training off the bike doesn't make you better on the bike, I'm sorry. And actually, one, still got it. This isn't a hit piece on personal trainers. It's not, in any regard. In fact, the due diligence is on the riders getting coached to make sure that they're actually learning what they need to learn about on-bike riding, right? You should also have a PT, but I'm saying you should have a motocross-specific coach, a very motocross-specific coach, and a PT if you want. But don't get the two conflated. Now, obviously, there are different levels of riders, there are different variances, and in some scenarios, a PT can be useful to like a beginner amateur rider. But if you want to link your time with value, so you want to spend your hours coaching in the most beneficial way possible, you would want to go and see a motocross coach that can give you the skills needed to become a more competent rider. Now, that doesn't mean a personal trainer won't benefit you or won't make you a better rider. They certainly can. But it's not the most logical way to spend your time. Just as seeing that motocross coach isn't the most logical way to spend your time if you want to get in good physical conditioning. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go see Greg Moss and go, Greg, what do I need to do at the gym? You wouldn't do it. I'd go, Greg, how do I ride the motorbike? And then I'd go, name X personal trainer, how do I get fit? They're two different disciplines in my opinion. And again, my opinion of personal training and off-bike training is that whether you're a C grader, B grader, A grader, pro, retired, a kid, you should be in good physical shape no matter what. They are just rules for life. It's a lifestyle. It's not a sport activity. It's a lifestyle. You train to be fit and healthy to live a good, satisfying and long life. And that's just what it is. Like, there's no excuse not to be in good physical shape. And a PT will do that for you. So I think they're fantastic for that. I see technique, fitness and strength used as a guise to facilitate improvement. Yet then when you dig into it, it's really not. They are pieces of the puzzle, but if you don't develop that skill, you're not getting much further down the line. Anyway, I've got that out of my system. So, questions. We'll pick one here off the top of my head. Where are we? Early specialization in moto, pros and cons. Talon R.26. Great question, and it ties into what we just said. So there's actually a study by the Russian Federation where they tested a heap of athletes in the Olympic testing pool on the best way to develop them from a young age into a professional athlete. And what they found is that introducing them to as many sports possible at a young age, so a wide range of skills, was the best thing that they could do. So rather than sending them to the gym and sending them on a run and sending them on the cycle bike, when they were young, they'd make them do rock climbing, they'd make them do table tennis, they'd make them do badminton, they'd make them do volleyball, they'd make them play baseball, they'd play basketball, they'd ride push bikes, they'd do all these things. And then by the age of like 14 or 16, whether they always had the intention of going in one direction or not, at the age 14 or 16, so basically in other words, when you hit puberty and your body matures, then they would pick a sport and they'd go all in on that. But only after they had this skills base from all the other sports built up. And then once your body hits puberty, let's say 18 years old, from then on, okay, now you actually have potential to get fitter, you have potential to get stronger, you can do all these sorts of things, we can specialize in one sport and off we go. So my answer to the question by talent are early specialization in moto, pros and cons. It's a great question, early specialization in moto. I'm going to say if you specialize in the art of motorcycling, in the skills side of it, you could never do enough. If you're chasing fitness and strength at a young age, I think that burns them out, for sure. I think chasing fitness and strength at a young age burns riders out. And there's no benefit to it because the ceiling on how fit or how strong you can get at a young age is like, it's capped. You're capped with your body until it hits puberty, then it can be unlimited. But you're better off developing those skills at a younger age, not burning them out, keeping it fun, but making it challenging. And then after the age of 18, that's when you become the robot. That's when you become the athlete. And that's when you do the specialization in those certain things. But with that said, I think pure raw bike time is the best thing you could ever do at a young age, as long as it incorporates skill. So play riding, fun riding. If you take a 10-year-old and you got them on the stopwatch, doing 20-minute motos day in, day out, day in, day out, that can work. I mean, there's a million ways it can work, but I'm gonna say more often than not, they'll just burn out and they'll get over it. So that's that, guys. Thank you very much, and be back for episode 4.